The story of Japan and China is as old as the East China Sea itself, a vast expanse of water that has both separated and connected these two great civilizations for thousands of years. For centuries, these two nations have gazed across a narrow stretch of water, sometimes seeing a source of wisdom and inspiration, other times a formidable rival or even a threat. Their relationship is like a river, marked by periods of calm exchanges and understanding, but also by turbulent rapids of misunderstanding and conflict. Imagine ancient Chinese junks braving the waves, bringing silks, philosophies, and new technologies to Japanese shores, while vigilant samurai stood ready to defend their homeland from any perceived danger. It's a history woven from threads of borrowing and adapting, admiration and animosity, where each encounter left a mark on both societies. China, the Middle Kingdom, saw itself as the world's center. Japan, the land of the rising sun, absorbed much from its neighbor but always sought to forge its own unique path, blending foreign ideas with native traditions. Their dance shaped not only their destinies but also the course of world history, from the spread of writing systems and philosophies to wars that redrew the map of Asia and influenced global politics. The echoes of their ancient past still resonate in today's diplomacy, economic competition and cultural exchanges, reminding us that history is never truly left behind. To truly understand their modern relationship, we must look back to a time when Japan, still a young nation, looked to China for guidance, sending envoys and scholars to learn from the sophisticated civilization across the sea. This was an era of immense learning and transformation, when Japan eagerly imported ideas, technologies, and systems that would become the very foundation of its society and culture. But it was never a matter of simple imitation. Japan transformed Chinese innovations, adapting them to local needs and sensibilities, setting the stage for centuries of complex, dynamic interaction between these two giants of East Asia. In the early centuries, Japan was a patchwork of clans, each with its own customs and traditions, living in a land of mountains and forests. Meanwhile, across the sea, China's Tang dynasty stood as a beacon of culture, innovation, and advanced civilization, influencing much of East Asia. Eager to learn and grow, Japan sent official missions, Kentoshi, to the Tang capital, braving perilous seas and unknown dangers to bring back treasures of civilization and knowledge. The most profound gift was the written word, Chinese characters or kanji, which revolutionized Japanese society and communication. With writing came the ability to keep official records, document history, and create literature that would be passed down through generations. The Japanese court modeled its administration, legal codes, and government structure on Chinese systems and even city planning, designing cities like Nara and Kyoto with grid patterns inspired by China. Nara and Kyoto's layouts mirrored Chang'an, the Tang capital. Everyday life, farming, silk-making, music, clothing, and even cuisine was transformed by Chinese influence, enriching Japanese culture in countless ways. Yet Japan was selective, carefully molding foreign ideas to fit its own unique culture. They developed hiragana and katakana, new scripts that allowed them to express the nuances of their own language more fully. This selective adaptation became a hallmark of Japanese culture, blending the best of foreign ideas with native traditions. Even as Japan modernized rapidly in later centuries, it always retained a distinct identity, balancing change with tradition. The foundation was set, learning from China, absorbing its wisdom, but never losing themselves in the process. This spirit of adaptation and independence would define their relationship for centuries, shaping the course of Japanese history. Buddhism arrived in Japan via China and Korea in the 6th century, meeting both resistance and fascination. Eventually embraced by the imperial court, Buddhism unified the country and transformed society. Temples and art flourished, blending Chinese styles with Japanese creativity. Buddhism coexisted with Shinto, creating a unique religious syncretism. Alongside religion, Japan adopted China's centralized bureaucracy. The Taika reforms aimed to place all land and people under the emperor's control, inspired by the Tang model. Yet Japan's system remained influenced by aristocratic families, not pure meritocracy. The result, a government structure that was distinctly Japanese, blending imported ideas with local realities. Once again, Japan borrowed from China, but always reshaped it. This ability to adapt would be crucial in the centuries to come. The seeds of both unity and independence were sown. By the 13th century, China had fallen under the rule of the powerful Mongol Empire, and its ambitious leader, Kublai Khan, set his sights on Japan. He sent envoys demanding Japan's submission, hoping to expand his vast domain even further across the seas. The Kamakura samurai government, proud and fiercely independent, refused to yield to Mongol demands. Their defiance set the stage for two dramatic Mongol invasions that would test the will and resilience of the Japanese people. In 1274, a formidable force of Mongol, Chinese, and Korean soldiers landed at Hakata Bay. The invaders brought unfamiliar tactics and advanced weaponry, including explosive bombs, which initially overwhelmed the samurai defenders. But just as defeat seemed imminent, a fierce and unexpected storm battered the Mongol fleet, forcing the invaders to retreat and saving Japan from conquest. Undeterred, Kublai Khan returned in 1281, assembling an even larger armada, one of the greatest fleets the world had ever seen, to try again to subdue Japan. This time, the Japanese had learned from the first invasion. They built strong coastal defenses, and the samurai prepared to fight with renewed determination, ready to defend their homeland at any cost. For weeks, brutal battles raged along the coast, with neither side able to claim victory. The fighting reached a stalemate, testing the endurance and spirit of both armies. Then, nature intervened once more. A massive typhoon, later called the Kamikaze or Divine Wind, swept through, devastating the Mongol fleet and ending the invasion. The Mongol ambitions were crushed and Japan remained unconquered. These extraordinary events forged a powerful sense of Japanese identity and destiny, uniting the people in pride and resilience. The world saw that Japan was not easily conquered. It had proven itself a formidable power, capable of withstanding even the mightiest of empires. The belief in divine protection took root deeply in Japanese culture, shaping national myths and spiritual traditions for generations. The Mongol invasions marked a dramatic turning point in East Asian history, influencing the balance of power and the course of future events in the region. With its independence secured, Japan's confidence soared, and its people looked to the future with renewed ambition and unity. The stage was now set for future rivalry, ambition, and the unfolding of a unique Japanese destiny in the centuries to come. Centuries after the Mongol threat, Japan unified under Toyotomi Hideyoshi, who dreamed of conquering China. In 1592, he invaded Korea as a stepping stone, unleashing a brutal war. Japanese forces quickly overran much of Korea, but the Korean king called on Ming China for help. Chinese intervention turned the tide, and Admiral Yi Sun-sin's turtle ships devastated Japanese supply lines. The war dragged on, ravaging Korea and draining both Japan and China. Hideyoshi's death in 1598 ended the conflict. Japanese troops withdrew in defeat. The invasion failed, leaving Korea devastated and China weakened. The Ming dynasty never fully recovered, hastening its collapse. The Imjin War left deep scars and mistrust among all three nations. It was a bitter lesson in the costs of ambition and war. The wounds would linger for centuries. For over 2 centuries, Japan isolated itself under the Tokugawa shogunate, while China's Qing dynasty also looked inward. The arrival of Western powers in the 19th century shattered this order. China, defeated in the Opium Wars, was forced into humiliating treaties and struggled to adapt. Japan, facing the same threat, launched the Meiji Restoration in 1868, overthrowing the shogun and modernizing at breakneck speed. Factories, railroads, and a modern military transformed Japan into an industrial power. Japan soon looked outward, seeking colonies and resources. The First Sino-Japanese War, 1894-95, erupted over Korea. Japan's modern army crushed the Qing forces, stunning the world. China's defeat was a profound humiliation, accelerating the Qing collapse. Japan emerged as Asia's new leader, no longer the student. The power dynamic had shifted forever. The shadow of this reversal would haunt both nations. Japan's victory over China marked its rise as East Asia's dominant power. It seized Taiwan, expanded into Korea and Manchuria, and defeated Russia in 1905. Meanwhile, China descended into chaos. The Qing fell, the Republic was weak, and warlords divided the land. Japan exploited this instability, occupying Manchuria in 1931 and establishing Manchukuo. In 1937, full-scale war erupted, the Second Sino-Japanese War. Japanese forces captured Nanjing, committing horrific atrocities. The war devastated China, causing millions of deaths. Chinese resistance, both nationalist and communist, bogged down the Japanese army. World War II ended with Japan's surrender in 1945. The scars of invasion and atrocity ran deep. For China, it was the end of a century of humiliation. For Japan, total defeat. The legacy of this era would cast a long shadow over their future. After World War II, both nations faced the challenge of rebuilding. Japan, under American occupation, adopted a pacifist constitution and focused on economic growth. China, after Civil War, became the People's Republic under Mao in 1949. For decades, Cold War divisions kept them apart. In 1972, Japan normalized relations with China, opening a new era of economic cooperation. Japanese investment and aid helped modernize China's industries. Trade boomed, creating deep economic interdependence. Yet, historical and political tensions simmered beneath the surface. Disputes over textbooks, war memory, and territory sparked periodic crises. The past was never far away, even as prosperity grew. In 2025, the China-Japan relationship is more complex than ever. Economic ties are strong. China is Japan's largest trading partner, and millions travel between the countries. Yet, the geopolitical landscape has shifted. China is now a superpower, and rivalry has intensified. Japan, allied with the US, watches China's military rise with concern. Strategic competition and a regional arms race have emerged. Nationalist sentiments and unresolved historical issues fuel mistrust. How each nation remembers the past shapes their present. Leaders must balance history with the demands of modern rivalry. The future of their relationship will help define the 21st century. Will they manage their rivalry and coexist? Or will old wounds and new ambitions lead to confrontation? The river of their shared history flows on, its course still uncertain, carrying the hopes and fears of Asia and the world.